When the fire started, the show stopped.
The concert was stopped moments ago so fire trucks could get in.
Small bonfires at first grew into out-of-control blazes. Soon, the concert goers were out of control, too.
I'm going to ask only because of the anniversary. It's 25 years, Woodstock 99. I mean, I've seen the documentaries. Brian, I've made fun of you at length because, the line that I remember from the documentary is your generation was pissed off, wanted to be pissed off at something and had nothing to be pissed off at. So that's why you guys destroyed that venue. That's
you guys nothing. I didn't destroy the venue.
I didn't destroy anything either.
That's what I want to ask. You guys had a good time. Where were you when the fires? Yeah. Which one of you which one of you set everything on fire? I know it was one of you.
Beth,
it wasn't me.
Yeah, well, you, Brian. Beth, you start. Where were you? That's a good question. Where were you Sunday around 7 p.m. plus onward on Sunday? Where were you?
Well, also just to back up a little bit on how I got there, I went to Woodstock 99 by myself also. So that was my first, no, it was my second.
We're both complete loners.
Solo.
Like, to me, I'm like, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Angry teenagers. Just angry teenagers. That's all.
I guess, or just like the person who is into music enough to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And, like save that money, spend that money, take the trip. I did a tour bus thing from Portland, Maine to New York for Woodstock 99.
Wow.
And I met people on the bus. So I made friends with, I went by myself. I was terrified to do it. I had gone to the Fish Festival, Lemon Wheel, by myself also. So that kind of led me into it. But I was really scared and I almost didn't go. And I got on the bus. We found out that we couldn't bring in glass bottles. So everybody was just passing around stuff, drinking on the bus.
You couldn't bring in anything effectively. Yeah.
Yeah. So people were just passing around their alcohol. And I don't know. We just all bonded. And I think there were about 6 of us that just stayed together that whole weekend. So we were together that last night on Sunday when the fires started. We were watching Chili Peppers and we saw the fires from farther out. And my one friend that I had made had brought a rope. So we all, for this purpose, we all hung onto the rope to get us through the crowd together and get back to our campsite. And we had already packed up all our stuff because the bus was leaving that night and it was supposed to rain. So we had all our gear ready to go. So we just got back to camp and got out of there.
I had this sad image of Brian with a rope, but no one else is holding on to it. It's just Brian with a
rope. Where are all my friends?
Brian's hanging himself with the rope.
All by himself. Nobody will grab the rope. I wrote down, and this is, I'm glad you brought that up, Beth, because this is when I remember talking to you on Friday night, I think. This is not unusual for you to go to these type of things by yourself. And we've had several people on our show who have done this, hitchhiked. Yvonne, I think, hitchhiked from New York, upstate New York, right?
Yeah.
That is such a wild idea to me. I can't imagine whatever you want to call it, the stones.
It's foreign to us because we're so close to Bonnaroo. We just roll down the hill and we're there.
You don't have to.
So yeah, the idea of getting
especially
on a bus,
in present day times, and I'll even use 99 as present day. You go back 30 years from there, and hitchhiking across the country was a pretty normal thing in the counterculture.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been a normal thing in my adult life. I mean, that's a thing you got to be pretty careful of. But yeah, the loner aspect of it is an interesting.
Are you glad you did it alone?
Choice.
Would you rather not have? Talk about that a little. I mean, that's just such a good for you, because I couldn't do it. I would never. I'm not that guy.
Well, ultimately, I mean, I'm glad I did. I'm glad I've done it both ways, especially with Bonnaroo. I go now for my friends, I wouldn't, well, and for taking photos, because I love doing that. But, and even then it's all about the photographers and making friends there.
Yeah, it's friends you have that you wouldn't have made unless you had done this alone,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's the good thing about solo travel, because you do get to meet people when you wouldn't if you're just there with a friend and you're talking to that
Exactly.
person.
If you go in one group, you pretty much stay contained within that bubble. But if you're alone, yeah, you're open to meeting all kinds of people.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I did it, I went to Lemon Wheel. I had been to a fish festival. I guess that was my first. Anyway, I went to Lemon Wheel. I was in college. I was packing up with my friends. I got tired of waiting around for them, and I just drove my own car up there. So that was the first time.
Story of my life.
Let's
go.
Let's go. They're gonna start. We're gonna miss it. So I just
hold on. I got to get a hold
waiting.
of Jimmy. He's got to run over to his mom's house.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I gotta stop and get gas.
Tired of waiting.
That's what kills
whatever.
me.
Oh, I got to get some money out of the ATM. Oh, that's right, because we haven't been planning this for a month. You need ATM money now.
Exactly. Seriously. Yes.
Terrible.
And I love those
frustrating.
guys, but yeah. So I went by myself, and I just camped by myself the first night, but then I ran into them the next day. In 65,000 people or whatever, I ran into my friends, and then I hung out with them after that. Yeah, it's crazy how that. Amazing that happens.
There's a story that's only important or interesting to the people I know, but at Woodstock, the same kind of thing. That we had 3 different carloads. 2 were caravan, 1 was wherever, and then eventually in the middle, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Rage Against the Machine. Boom! Pops out my buddy. It's 200,000 people here.
Yeah,
we didn't travel with
always
you.
Happens, right?
And there was some
serious other festivals too.
Seriously bad drugs going on that weekend, and it almost gave me a panic attack. I'm like, what are you doing here? How am I running into you? This is insane. This is not Bonnaroo. These days for me, since I've been around so long, to run into people I know. I mean, that's almost expected. 4 states north. And however many thousand and whatever miles, that was pretty cool. Now I didn't do Woodstock, by myself. We had 7 of us, and we were a little. I'm a little younger, so we were 19. I don't know how we survived. Like, I don't know how. Not from the danger, not from the fires, not from the lack of the amenity or the water and all the stuff we all know about. None of that stuff. Yeah. That's not what I mean why we didn't survive. We were barely old enough to be out of the house.
Yeah.
And we're just driving all over upstate New York. No idea what the hell we're doing. I don't know we couldn't bring anything in. So, I mean, this is the worst festival that's ever just been organized in the history of music. And you park way outside, and you drag all your shit. Can you imagine going to Bonnaroo and then just, hey, get your stuff out of your car and drag it in a half a mile, and then good luck, MF. Like, it was, at that time, though, it didn't seem weird. I was just like, okay, this is what we do.
Yeah. It's just normal.
All right, let's just throw our tent down. No shade, no easy ups, no tapestries, no flags. Boy, the whole story when we got there started setting up tents, and 10 minutes later, it looked like you were on another planet. Like,
sounds like my first Bonnaroo. I mean,
well, a little bit because of the how new of a concept, at least to us in America and certainly in the South.
I mean, I told the story. If I didn't bring an umbrella that happened to be in my truck, we would not have had shade.
Yeah,
I bungeed it onto a table that I happened to have, and we, moved around with the sun. I didn't bring shade.
My memory is just it's not vivid enough to remember like I'm talking Woodstock again, like 2:00 on Saturday or 2:00 on Friday. I don't remember that. Those memories are gone. Yeah. But I don't know. It's shocking to me that we, with 95 plus heat days, no shade, no campsite worth speaking of, no money, everything cost like 8 to 10 times more than everything else you've ever seen in your life. I don't know how we did it. I just don't. We didn't have cell phones. I didn't have a cell phone at 19 years old. Did you feel any danger there? Did you feel uncomfortable? And what did you see music-wise that stuck out? Because I didn't see a lot of music because I was dying of heat exhaustion the whole time I was there.
I was dying of heat exhaustion too, definitely. I got really sunburned and really dehydrated. But I really didn't feel unsafe. I think it's because, and I've learned this and developed this as a solo female traveler, I really try to fly under the radar. That's kind of my style anyway. So I'm wearing like a band t-shirt.
So you weren't walking around topless and naked is what you're saying.
Which I'm certainly not blaming victims in any way.
No, of course not.
That's something that I do to protect myself, is just to fly under the radar, kind of look like a dude and, just skate on by.
But it's a recipe for disaster, we all know. I mean, Netflix and Max both have a very extensive documentary on this. If you really want to get deep into this, I suggest you watch those. We won't go into all that. But sorry, back to so you didn't really feel in danger, which is great, because we had females with us, and their story would be we didn't feel in danger either. What about music specifically?
And I also, the side note to that, I didn't feel like I was in danger because I had a crew. I mean, I guess I would have hidden and would have figured it out. There was definitely that undercurrent, and I see that from the documentaries. There was, now that I look back on it, there was an undercurrent that things could go bad at any time. Not necessarily, I didn't really feel violence toward women, but just that everything could it wasn't a particularly well-run festival, and everything could go bad. So there was that. And to that point, I, my sort of hippie heart, I really wanted to see Guster because I was a fan rep for them. I sold their CDs. They fit in with that whole Spin Doctors, Gin Blossoms.
Guster's right into that. They were early Saturday.
New England jam band kind of thing. So my friends that I had made, and I'm sure I was kind of annoyed at this at the time, but they didn't want me to go anywhere by myself. So they must have felt some sense of things being a little off. So they split. So they, instead of going to see Kid Rock, which, I mean, ultimately may have been the show to go just because
at that time
that was him at his peak, whatever. Instead of going to Kid Rock, half of them came to Guster with me because I was going to see Guster no matter what.
And quickly, so people who don't know that those were, I've got the lineup in front of me right now. Kid Rock actually, show that. Kid Rock actually blew up because of this show. He was not really to that level yet. Yeah. And but he was, like, the minute that show was over, Kid Rock Limp Bizkit and Kid Rock turned into what they were, solidified with this show. But 1 o'clock was Kid Rock on the main stage, and then 1 o'clock was Guster on the second main stage, which never, in all the documentaries, in everything you see, everything you read, nothing comes from the west stage, which is where Guster was. Mm-hmm. Know what it is. That was a beautiful stage. That was a great. Nothing bad happened there because Collective Soul played there. The Roots played there. George Clinton played there. Mike Ness, Our Lady Peace, Rusted Root. Nothing bad happened over there. It was, but the point I was about to make that I didn't. These stages were a mile apart.
Right.
You
had to really commit to go into that other stage.
On a tarmac, a landing strip. This is a former military base, a military complex waste dump is what it ended up turning into, on a tarmac mile. So, hey, let's run over and see this. No. That's a mile on the asphalt at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday. You could die on your way over there if you're malnourished and not hydrated.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
I'm glad you brought up that topic about the being a woman at an event like that, because I felt like that 99, though I wasn't there, but I remember 07, 08 Bonnaroo, thinking how things had changed. Like the fact that a female could go to a Bonnaroo by herself and walk around by herself and feel safe. Not that I'm a female, and I don't mean to even pretend, But I just
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
noticing it was such a difference than a decade earlier or even 20 years, where you just didn't see that. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. You had to, it was like your girls could be there just for the music. They didn't have to travel in packs and be looking over their shoulders all the time. And I remember noticing the difference. So it's interesting you bring that up.
Yeah, and these documentaries lay this out pretty well. The late '90s was an interesting time.
Oh, the '70s was horrible.
Technology was starting to take off. People were starting to begin to communicate a little bit more than your average traditional ways. The biggest political story was Monica Lewinsky. I mean,
right.
there was this sense of, and it was coming out of the grunge movement into the more angry in a different way music. Like grunge was angry in a poetic way, I would say, and the music to the mid to late '90s was anger in a, we're not trying to hide it at all. Give me something to break some shit. Give me that's not grunge.
Yeah.
That's not poetry. That's declaration of break things. Like the words don't. There's no hidden meaning. Go ahead, Beth. Sorry.
But I was going to say, I mean, it wasn't. That's the way people think about Woodstock, but it was also Rage Against the Machine, who was angry with something to say, and Korn, who I guess are kind of just break shit, but
yeah,
Korn
they're
had
a little
an
more
amazing
poetic
performance. Though. Yeah. Korn was one of my favorites at Woodstock '99, and then also bringing it back to Bonnaroo when I got to shoot them last year.
God.
I mean, that's like the holy grail. That was amazing.
Yeah, Korn is. I was not a fan of Korn back then, and I would put them in like right in the middle of I'm angry, but I'm also poetic, and and I think their music has aged so well. That's what made the Bonnaroo Korn set. I mean, Barry, you were surprised when all of us. Yeah, Russ, we were all from Tara, from all our old.
Oh yeah, whole camp.
We were like, can you believe this Korn show we just saw?
Yeah.
And I believe it's because it has aged so well. At that time, their peak popularity was hitting, and it was angry sounding. Boy, it was angry as hell. It sounded angry as hell. Right. And that was night one. And that was when everybody was full of energy. That was Thursday night of Bonnaroo. Like when everybody's at their best and peak energy. That was how it was on Friday. And that place was, it seemed like we're at the greatest place in the world.
Yep.
There's nothing better than this. Then you wake up on Saturday and you realize you're on a toxic waste dump.
A tarmac.
Yeah.
That really sums up.
And waters are $4.
Doesn't that sum up Gen X perfectly well?
In 1999, for $4 for a water, and most everybody's under the age of 25. I mean, I'd say half the crowd is under the age of 25.
Yeah. Doesn't that sum up Gen X perfectly well? I mean, just being angry at something, but you don't know what. The baby boomers had, Vietnam.
That's
I know,
Brian.
yeah.
No, it's
before
just,
that,
it's
it
hard
was,
to
World War
define.
II. Gen X was really the first generation in a while that didn't have a big,
Something
war
to be
or
mad
something
at.
to be mad at. So we were just angry just to be angry. Yeah.
All that's fair. And that was kind of. I just watched the Netflix one last night, actually, or over the last 2 days, just to get ready for some other stuff I'm doing and for this, just to refresh. And Michael Lang, who is a promoter of all three of them, who died a couple of years ago now, he's just a terrible promoter, but somehow continued to be able to keep being involved with these Woodstocks because he's so famous from that first movie, from the first '69, that thing saved the Woodstock name. Woodstock in '69 was a freaking wreck, a complete danger. Public danger. It just gets romanticized mainly because of that movie. But Michael Lang was interviewed on it, and he kept saying we were trying. All those candles ended up being the fires. That was a peace visual for awareness of gun violence. You think anybody on that Air Force base cared about gun violence?
Right.
I mean, if they had one, they'd be using it. Like so, there was no. They wanted it to be about some kind of good in the world. Like we're here to also put this mystique, this aura of Woodstock. Sure. But it just wasn't there. Nobody was buying it. And then they got treated like animals for 3 days. We got treated. I didn't know any better. I had the best time in the world. Like I got home and thought, you know, with the news coverage being what it was then as compared to now, it was days before I understood what had actually happened. Because we took off as there were just, okay, there's some fires. Well, it's time to go now. This place really sucks. We're really tired of this.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't there watching the place get, like, destroyed to the ground. I was long gone. We were maybe to Virginia by that time. I don't know. I don't remember. But so the scope of it I didn't understand for a while. But, yeah, to your point, Barry, they wanted it to be that. The promoters, Michael Lang in particular, maybe not some of the other guys, but because he's a hippy-dippy guy, even into the last living days. And they talk about that, and that was what the candlelight visual was. You idiots! Yeah. What are you doing? You're giving out 100,000.
Adding fire.
You're giving out 100,000 candles to people that you wouldn't give fresh drinking water to for the last 3 days. What do you think they're going to do with it?
Yeah.
So the anger of a people, of an era, of a generation, everything you said, Barry's right on. And Taco, you mentioned it too. But that weekend, that was
it's
real
always easy
anger.
to look back, and
that was a real anger of that
things going back.
Sure, but that weekend was a real anger that moved away from just male, toxic male masculinity. It moved away from that and turned into, if you were here, you'd do the same.
Well,
thing.
and that kind of wraps up my point. And I remember watching those, thinking how quickly. So that's 99 to 02 Bonnaroo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it goes from
less than 3 years
anger, females being grabbed and treating horribly to not in just 3 years.
Pretty amazing.
In just 3 years.
Yeah, because did we ever think there'd be another
the
festival after Woodstock 99? No, you'd think there's no way they'll hold another event like that.
Complete change.
Yeah, who's going to ensure this if nothing else?
Yeah.
Right?
But a complete attitude change.
And I think the starting of the such a niche jam band community festival was the perfect recipe to jump off of.
That was the antidote.
Yeah, the Korn guy, the Kid Rock guy, the Limp Bizkit guy, they want to beat up hippies. You know, like so that was equal strokes, genius, and luck.
Yeah,
I would think.
I do remember thinking that in just 3 years, that attitude change was massive. So pretty cool.
But I'm afraid I might have cut you off. Any other performances you want to from that weekend, Woodstock, Beth, that stick out? Because I don't have a good answer to this question. Bush, Offspring, Rage.
Rage Against the Machine, Metallica. I remember those two up against each other. I really, really wanted to see the ones in the hangar, but I was just too tired and sunburned and dehydrated. So
I saw Mickey Hart from the Dead because I was still Woodstock was my I was in love with Woodstock, the lore of the whole brand. And
I'm sure I was too.
Anybody who would speak even badly of 99 afterwards, I was like, you don't know, man. This is my Wood. Don't talk shit about my Woodstock. But there was no alumni there. 94, that other disaster, had a lot of alumni. Crosby, Stills, Nash, Joe Cocker, Traffic. And I was 14 then. I was too young to do that kind of stuff. But Mickey Hart from the Dead was there. And I made it a point to go see that at that awesome West stage that no one talks about. And then you'll appreciate this a lot, I would guess, Barry. I always mess up his last name. John Entwistle?
Entwistle.
Entwistle.
Yeah. Bass player from The Who. He had a little side gig in the emerging artist stage, was just in this disgustingly ugly, like, military plane hangar. So, like, bigger than, like, just a plane hangar. Like, it's massive, and it's the only place you could find shade, so it was always crammed full. And he had a little gig going, and I was like, well, I be damned if I'm coming to Woodstock and I'm not going to go see the guy from the Who.
Yeah, good for you.
You know,
one of the best bass players
Yeah.
ever. Good for you.
And I'll be damned if I'm not going to go see Mickey Hart. And Bruce Hornsby wasn't quite on my radar at that point. I wish, that said, I've watched it. That was great too. There was so much great about
DMX.
DMX.
That DMX set was amazing. That was kind of like a classic. When you go back and look at it, that was a career-defining set too.
Many of them are.
Sheryl Crow was great. You know, Sheryl Crow's another Bonnaroo crossover. If you look it down the list, I look at so many things I saw at Woodstock '99 and then saw again at Bonnaroo. It's just kind of a nice full circle.
I mean, and when you watch
circle's not over, but
and when you watch all these docs and you read all about the Woodstock '99 stuff that you do know, that we all think we know, which you do know most of it. I mean, there's Counting Crows, there's Wyclef Jean, there's Dave Matthews Band, there's Alanis. I mean, there was Everlast, Elvis Costello, Jewel, Creed. My God, the resurgence of Creed makes my head spin.
I saw Creed there.
And annoys me, but Creed and Brian Seltzer Orchestra, Willie Nelson, Al Green, James Brown. Nice. None of that ever gets discussed.
Nice.
And there wasn't rape going on at those shows.
Right.
So
well, maybe there was. Well, we don't even know the extent of what was going on. But
fair point. But there was so much that was great about it too. And I think that's where my defense was up for so long. And then eventually I was like, okay, I got to put my I can't fight this one anymore.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it was one of the best experiences of my life. I mean, it led me into all the other things that I've done since.
All I wanted to do was
going off on my own.
I've heard from other people.
Yeah, I didn't go. See, I went to go even. I mean, I was the oldest 19-year-old ever. Like, I'm not much different now than then. I wanted to see great music, and that was it.
Yeah,
and
me too.
Party.
I mean, that's my thing too. I think I was 20. I was 20 or 21.
Yeah, and party, but not destroy stuff. Like that was never part of it. It was go see CC DeVille from Poison. He had a side band going on at the Emerging Artist stage, and I didn't particularly go to see that, but while we were there, like,
there you go.
Guy from Poison. How cool is this?
That's the other thing. That's another, if you go back to the reasons I go back, it's because you can talk to people about these obscure music things. And people, you will say that, I got to see CC DeVille from Poison. People will be like, oh, that's awesome. Not like, okay, whatever, you know? You don't get to do that in your normal life. When you're around people who are super into music and you can say, oh, this person played with this person and I saw them here and tell all those
this
stories.
wild ass, I'm just trying to get shade because I'm this close to overheating and need medical attention. And then I look up and CC DeVille from the Stepmothers. That's how I saw it.
Amazing.
My new band, the Stepmothers. Like, the Stepmothers. This is great. And then I passed out on the ground.